There's this one single piece of logic that quietly runs our modern world, from how we learn to how AI gets smarter. It's called Bayes' theorem. And to really get it, you don't need to think about complicated math. You just need to think about how you think. So let's just dive right in.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You have a hunch about something. Then you see some new evidence, and your opinion kind of shifts. What if you could actually boil that entire process down to one single, elegant piece of logic? Well, guess what? You can.
Okay, so where does this all start? Well, it begins with something super simple, something really human. What you already think is true. Right. So before you've seen any new data, before anyone's made a new argument, you've got a starting position, right? That's your initial belief. It's the foundation for everything else that's about to happen. And in the world of Bayes, we have a name for this. It's called the prior probability. But don't let the name fool you. This isn't just some random guess. No way. It's the sum total of everything you know, all your experience up to this point. It's your starting line.
All right, so you've got your starting belief locked in. But then, boom, the world throws something new at you. A piece of evidence that, could change everything.
This is that new evidence. And it could be anything, really. It could be data from an experiment, something you just happened to notice, or maybe a new article you read. It's that extra information that either supports or maybe challenges what you thought you knew. So this new piece of info, we call that the likelihood. But here's the really cool part. It's not just about the evidence itself. The likelihood is all about measuring the strength of that evidence. And it does that by asking a super specific question. Okay, assuming my original belief was true, how likely would it be that I'd see this new data? That is the key right there. Okay, let's recap. We started with the belief. We added some new evidence. So what happens? What's the result? Well, you get a new, more refined belief. And honestly, this is where the magic happens. Your mind doesn't just, stay stuck. It takes that old belief, it mixes in the new information, and it creates something totally new, an updated perspective. And this final updated belief, that has a name too. We call it the posterior probability. This is your new state of knowledge. You've officially learned something. You've traveled from your prior belief to a much more informed posterior one. And really, that's the whole journey right there, in a nutshell. We go from a prior state, what we thought at first, to a posterior state, what we think now. It's this formal, logical system for changing your mind based on real evidence. Pretty cool, huh? So, how do all these pieces, the prior, the likelihood, the posterior, how do they actually fit together? Well, the logic is actually surprisingly simple. Look, the core logic is basically just 3 simple steps. Step 1, you start with your initial belief, your prior. Step 2, you multiply that by the strength of the new evidence, the likelihood. And step 3, the result is your updated belief, the posterior. That's it. It's really that straightforward. And this sentence right here, this is basically the heart and soul of Bayesian's theorem. See, it's not about throwing out your old beliefs. Not at all. It's about refining them with new information. And the stronger that new evidence is, the more your belief is going to shift. Okay, so this is a really neat way to think about how we learn, for sure. But why does it matter so much? Why is this so incredibly important right now? Because this exact same logic, this idea of updating your beliefs with new evidence, it's not just a theory. It is the literal engine that powers modern artificial intelligence. I'm talking about everything from your email spam filter learning what's junk, all the way up to these massive language models that can write poetry and code. They all learn using this one fundamental principle. And for an AI, it works like a continuous, never-ending loop. An AI starts with some prior knowledge. It sees new data, that's the likelihood, and it updates its understanding to create a posterior belief. But here's the real kicker. That new posterior instantly becomes its next prior. It's this constant cycle of refinement where it gets just a little bit smarter with every single piece of data it sees. So when you strip it all away, all this complexity, it all just boils down to one single powerful idea, a framework for learning from experience. So by understanding this framework, you can actually be more intentional about how you learn, right? Which leaves us with a pretty powerful question. Now that you know the formula for learning, what belief are you going to update next?